Everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Hey guys, how's everybody tonight? Because it's been a wild 24 freaking hours. We're going to talk about some stuff. I'm going to show you guys some stuff. We're going to listen to some things. We're going to have a discussion. Now, I know that most of you have seen that the apparent full 911 call from the Idaho student murder case has been released. The first station I saw that had the full release was a local station out of, I don't really know where they're out of, but on their website it says they cover Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. They're called 4 News Now or some crap like that. I had them on the video. It honestly sounds the way I sort of figured it was going to sound before we ever even heard the crap that was going on with Gray Hughes, which we're going to get to because it sounds just like what Gray Hughes had, but we're going to get to all of that any freaking way. But there's still a lot of questions to it because a lot of people think it's fake. A lot of people feel like the emotions and the reactions are fake. To me, if it was AI, they'd have done a better job at maybe making it not sound so questionable, because there's still a lot of questionable things in this 911 call. There's just a lot of questions here. I feel like there's way more questions. There's just a lot of questions. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people have. I mean, the thing is that I don't understand why this was even like released transcript wise with pieces of it missing. Like, what was the point of that? Like, why is that the piece that's like being released it for anything? What's the point? I just don't understand the point. Now, this is my thing about what happened with Drunk Turkey and Gray Hughes, because Drunk Turkey was the first one that I saw going live saying that he had the audio, but then he was saying that he wasn't going to release the audio until mainstream media released the audio. And I was like, so then you're lying, because what all you're going to do is take what the mainstream releases, and then you're going to act like it was something that you had before the mainstream, but you're not showing any proof of it. Like, you're not showing an email. You're not showing that you have a video. I mean, an audio file. You're not showing any proof of anything. You're just running your mouth. And everybody knows already that Daniel with Drunk Turkey is very freaking deceiving. He comes out here. The very first one that I remember was whenever he actually did do an interview with Kaylee Goncalves. And he put it out for like over a week that he was going to be actually interviewing her on his channel. That we were going to actually watch them have a conversation, or we were going to watch their like previously recorded conversation, but we were going to get to actually see Kaylee in the interview be talked to. And that's not how it went down. Instead, we heard Daniel repeat a bunch of stuff that Kaylee said. And it got so ridiculous because people weren't believing that he even talked to her, because he put it out there with such boo-boo the whole time for over a week, being completely misleading and manipulating his audience and other people, that she had to come out and do a video, like a selfie video. Yeah, I talked to Daniel Drunk Turkey, blah, 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 blah. And that's how we got the story about Hunter being called over because they couldn't get Xana's door open. And instantly, when this transcript released, we're like, hold up, hold up. This doesn't sound anything like what the Goncalves has said. This doesn't sound like somebody busted a door open and saw a bloody scene and then called 911. This sounds like something completely different, okay? But then on top, like right after I saw Drunk Turkey, I saw Gray Hughes talking about it, and I was like, instantly the Goncalves family was the only connection there. And I'm like, okay, something's going on. Because remember, we went over an interview that Steve Goncalves did with Shannon, like right after the transcript and the text messages released. And I watched it, I recorded myself reacting to it, and I posted it. And I go back to that and think about whenever Steve made a very strange, like, prelude comment about how Kaylee just couldn't handle the 911 call coming out. So she was hoping that it never came out. And he was talking about therapists and her needing like all kinds of things about the call coming out or whatever. I really, like, at first, I still feel this way, and I'm going to tell you why in just a minute. I almost feel as if it was said ahead of time to sort of put like a deterrent up for people like attacking them for if something got released. And this is the reason why I say this, because this doesn't make any sense, okay? I know why the 911 call has now been released to mainstream media. I have a letter that was posted on Reddit that is probably as close to the truth as I can find of anything being posted and discussed anywhere. I mean, literally anywhere. There's nothing posted on the Idaho page. There's no update from anybody over in the actual camp of anything that I've seen, okay? Now, there's a letter. Let me just go ahead and show it to you guys real quick. I really did feel as if the Goncalves leaked it. Like, no freaking joke. Somehow they were able to get it, and that the Goncalves leaked it. I really felt that way because Gray Hughes came out and said that he had permission to play a small clip of it. While Drunk Turkey was out here saying that he filed a FOIA that got answered, and that's whenever he was like, oh, but I'm not going to play it, blah, 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 blah. Well, for one, I don't believe you because you lie a lot. And for two, if it was a FOIA request that was like suddenly approved, there would have been a shit ton of people out here. There would have been so many freaking people out here because so many freaking people have filed requests for things, either in bulk or separately, multiple times, just to see if there's a difference. There's so many people with FOIAs for that 911 call, and only these two clowns come out with it. That doesn't make any sense. And if you get something from FOIA, you don't need permission to play a clip. So that's also where the story was confusing, because you've got one idiot over here saying that he got a FOIA that no one else magically got somehow, and the other guy saying he got permission to play something. Well, you don't need permission for something that you get from a Freedom of Information Act. And on top of that, when Gray Hughes was playing it, he literally stated that he got permission. That means somebody leaked it to him, because the news got it after Gray. And News Nation, whenever Ashley Banfield was talking to Gray, News Nation like removed it from News Nation's like actual YouTube page. It's been gone for a while now. I don't know if it got put back up. I have no idea if it got put back up. It's Friday. I was doing shit with my kids. The movie ended 5 minutes before I put the stream up. Okay. I don't know. All I know is that people had the links to the News Nation posting of it on News Nation's actual YouTube page. And then all of a sudden the link wasn't working. Now, Ashley Banfield still has what she did with Gray on her own YouTube page, the Drop Dead Serious or something like that. And then it was also on her own private TikTok and her own private Twitter. But when it came to News Nation, they removed it. And I feel like it's because she lied. I feel like at that point in time, the only thing that she really did have was whatever Gray Hughes was given permission to play. And she didn't really authenticate anything herself. I think what came out from 4 News is, I feel like, a cleanup, because the world bombarded Boise and Latah County today. I myself sent, I don't even know how many emails. I'm going to show you guys who I emailed. I also went on the Boise website because there's a way to chat. And I really, really thought that I was chatting with an Indian bot. Or it was either a bot or like an Indian over in like a foreign like call office. And I still almost kind of feel that way. Maybe almost a little, because of the responses that I was getting and how weird it felt. I recorded it. I screen recorded the call, not the call, but I screen recorded the chat that I had with Ada County and the weird response. And then I also recorded, because Texas is a one-party state, therefore I can record a freaking phone call because I am giving myself permission. And I'm that one party that's giving myself permission. I recorded the phone call of me talking to Ada County, and the lady at Ada County had like no idea whatsoever what I was talking about. And so I went on to explain to her that the only reason why this is such a big deal is because there's already been fake audio in this case. That's another reason why this pissed me off. Because if Gray Hughes really had permission from somebody, he could have came about this in a way that wasn't so freaking sketchy, but he did it the way that he did it to cause the drama that it caused. We've already had fake audio in this case. We had Joseph freaking Morris, the same guy who created a fake video in the Gabby Petito Brian Laundrie situation, came out and took a DV audio from a Twitch streamer chick and manipulated it and released it and created the first fake like audio in the Idaho case. Okay. So we already had this issue. Gray Hughes freaking knows this. So why he would come out for one and say that he heard something that he knew he technically didn't have permission to even be spreading, he did it on purpose for the dramatic effect so more people would listen. He technically caused this because he couldn't keep his stupid ass mouth shut. He probably was never supposed to say that he heard anything. Okay. I don't believe Daniel had shit. I think somebody did leak something to Gray because what he played sounds just like what the news station played. Now, let me show you what apparently came out. I'm going to play the phone calls. I don't know if I don't have it like all edited together, but I'm going to put like a video out and like just do like one small video that like basically explains this bullshit ass chaos that just happened, because now we have an answer, but it still doesn't answer who the frick gave it to Gray, because what I'm about to show you is a document that came out stating that it was released under a FOIA. Okay. But you don't need permission to release anything under a freaking FOIA. Okay. If you have a FOIA approved, you don't need the permission. So somebody leaked something to Gray and then suddenly a FOIA was released, in my opinion. I think that's exactly what the frick happened here, because he's saying he needed permission. And I have it on the recording. I recorded it and put it in the 911 transcript No, the 911 recording that I got from the news thing, he literally stated he had permission. If you had it approved, you don't need permission. It's your own file. You don't need anyone's permission. That doesn't make sense. And in the calls and in the 2 emails I got, let me show you the emails first, as a matter of fact. Let me show you the emails first. So I can show you why I said this shit's under seal still. So this doesn't make any sense. Let me get rid of this one. Okay. This right here are the emails that I sent today. Now, first, I took the prosecutors and the defense attorneys off of like just one of the pages, and I sent them an email. The one that I sent for Eliza Massath's email, somehow I got it wrong, so I ended up forwarding it to the right one right here. And then I sent the same email over to the Ada court, and then another one to the actual Kohberger case like email address. They have a specific phone number and a very specific email address that you can email Ada County for when it comes to this case very specifically. That's the first one that I got a response to. And it says, "Hello, thank you for reaching out. The audio is sealed and remains as such for the court. We manage requests for records per Idaho law. Having said that, I cannot comment about how other agencies, which may also be custodians, are processing requests they receive." Okay. So then I received another response from somebody at Ada County named S. Barrios. That's the email that came through, Sandra Barrios. And her response is pretty much the same. Like, it's really almost the freaking same. Okay. "Thank you for contacting our court and your commitment to the judicial process. The audio was filed and sealed by the presiding judge. As a result, our courts are dealing with that filing as such, meaning it's sealed, and that's how our court is handling it per the judge's order. Also, requests for records in our courts are processed according to Idaho law and court rule, meaning if someone is asking us for it, Ada County for it, the holding agency, we're not releasing it because we're following court order." But then, just like the other one, it says, "It is possible that other entities who are also custodians of the item are managing requests differently. I cannot comment on that." Okay. So now we have this that popped up. I jumped on Twitter real quick before I got on here so I could see if I could find anything about what was actually going on. Let me see. Oh, this isn't really going to get any bigger, I don't think. Okay. I don't know if this is going to get any bigger. I don't know if I can get this any bigger. This is on Reddit. And I'm trying to get it bigger. I don't know how to make this bigger on here. I'm not good at all this computery shit. If I make this screen bigger, is it going to do anything? Literally no. Literally no. Okay, well, I'm just going to read it, and then I'll just put a link. Look, I'll just do this. I'll put this link in here. I don't know how to deal with all this technology stuff. So if y'all want to go click on the Reddit link and read along, that's cool. I'm just going to read it, and this is just how it's going to look. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. I doubt it. Oh, gosh, that was worse. No, this isn't working. Okay, well, you know, I gave y'all the link. Y'all can go read it. Anyway, this came from Reddit in the Idaho Reddit page. And this is about a public request, a public request for records. And it came from a lawyer's office. And it's from KXLY. KXLY is 4 News Now. So this is an email from a lawyer's office that was sent to, I guess, like a media person or an affiliate or an employee or whatever at the station that I got my audio from for my video, 4 News Nation. No, 4 News Now. Okay. "Dear requester, I am providing this communication on behalf of Whitcomb 911. You have made a public records request pursuant to the Washington Public Records Act." So this is under Washington because Whitcomb is technically in like both areas. So I guess it maybe follows different rules. I actually didn't think about that. That's interesting. Okay. "To Whitcomb 911 for a recording of the 911 call involving an incident on or around November 13th of 2022 that occurred at 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho. The 911 call recording. By way of background," this explains the breakdown of dissemination order and whenever they decided that it no longer mattered, because it almost kind of sounds as if the lawyer's office that takes care of Whitcomb sort of made this decision based on the redaction order and the transcript coming out. Like, they weren't basically told by the court they could do whatever they wanted. They kind of made their own decision on this, which is insane. By way of background, on January 3rd of 2023, prosecution and defense attorneys in the case State of Idaho v. Bryan Kohberger filed a stipulation for non-dissemination order, the gag order. The same day, the Latah County District Court issued a non-dissemination order. On January 18th of 23, the Latah County District Court amended its January 3rd, 23 dissemination order. On January 3rd of 23 and January 18th of 23, non-dissemination orders prohibited the release of public records responsive to your request. On January 30th of 2023, Whitcomb 911 filed a declaratory action in Whitman County Superior Court seeking a determination as to whether Whitcomb 911 was required to disclose, pursuant to PRA, the requested public record in light of the non-dissemination orders issued by the Latah County District Court. The case remains pending. So all the way back on January 30th of 2023 now, over 2 years ago, they asked the Superior Court of Whitman County to ask if they had to actually stand with the gag order, and the case never went anywhere. It's been pending this entire time. They've never gotten an answer. Holy frickin' So we are playing Idaho and Washington rules here. That's interesting. That makes this way wilder. On June 23rd, 2023, the Latah County District Court issued its revised amended non-dissemination order, which clarified the court's position and continued to prohibit the release of the public records responsive to your request. The court further clarified its order on June 23rd of 2023. Again, the June 23rd, 2023 order prohibited the release of the public records responsive to your request. This is where it gets interesting. Already? On or about March 6, 2025, the Ada County District Court released a transcript of the 911 call recording. We have determined the non-dissemination order, as revised and amended, no longer prevents release of the 911 call recording in its redacted form and consistent with the transcript release by the Ada County District Court. Accordingly, please find enclosed a public record that is responsive to your request for the 911 call recording. Redactions to the 911 call recording have been made to comply with RCW 4256240 and State of Idaho v. Bryan Kohberger. This request has been fulfilled. As a result, Whitcomb 911 is closing this request. The PRA 1-year statute of limitations to seek judicial review has begun to run, as Whitcomb 911 does not intend to further address your request. So, that's wild. So we're going off of Washington rules. They have asked the Court of Washington for over 2 years now to ask if they had to actually be held to the gag. No answer. And now all of a sudden, they just basically made their own decision. We have determined the non-dissemination order, as revised and amended, no longer prevents release of the 911 call. So Whitcomb 911, because this is a communication on behalf of Whitcomb 911, made a decision upon their own brain to say, they released a transcript and no one's given us a freaking answer in over 2 years to our request in the Superior Court. So we're just going to do whatever frick we want to do. That's how it sounds. Thank you so much for the $20. Say it louder. I very much appreciate it. I appreciate it. So this is crazy to me. This is March 14th. That's today. Okay. So who the frick let it go to Gray Hughes 2 days ago? This is today. So this is saying on March 6th of 25, they made this decision. But Gray Hughes literally stated it's been a few days now since he had it. This letter was on March 14th. Now, granted, it's been approved since March the 6th, but that doesn't mean that they had stuff that they instantly started answering. This person's request has been in since all of these dates. That's why it's mentioning in January of 2023, whenever this happened, we couldn't respond to your request, meaning this person's request was in there before that. So this person would have gotten their information days and days ago. the same time that Gray Hughes is claiming that he got it if it was from a FOIA request. And again, you don't need permission to send out anything and share anything that you get for FOIA, meaning, duh, the way that they got it and instantly put it out is what you do with something that you FOIA. If you get a FOIA approved, you don't then have to go back and be like, so I know that y'all sent it to me, but do I have your permission to also like go play it? Gray is kind of lying. Gray is like kind of lying. You don't need permission for something that got accepted. The person requesting it, it was the KXLY news station that ended up being the ones that released it. It was a lady named Melissa. That damage control is exactly what I think this is, because I called up there, I sent emails all over the freaking place, and like I know pretty much everyone that I was seeing in the comments was doing the exact same thing. And I told the lady at Ada County, I said, you don't understand. I said, it being leaked is one thing. I said, but whenever people are running this thing through an AI scanner, it's like 90% or higher that it's fake. And even if it's not fake, you know, that's a problem on its own. But people are kind of freaking out because there's already been a fake audio in this case, and this is already crazy enough. So it's been like 20 hours since it's been out there, and if you don't know about it, that's kind of an issue. You know, that's kind of a problem. So I don't know, but I'm going to put the screen recordings of the chat conversation, me on the phone, and like all the emails that I sent, and like just put all this timeline together for how the 911 call thing ended up happening. But it still doesn't add up to what Gray Hughes is saying, because if you get it via FOIA, you don't need motherfripping permission. Yeah, and that's what the other thing I called out too. I was like, so you mean, like with Daniel, I was like, so you mean you don't really have it? You're gonna wait till mainstream plays it? Yeah, like I just don't believe nothing that you say. You've already proven to be a freaking liar. So, I mean, and that's all that I cared about. Like, I wanted to know if there was a leak. Because if there's a leak and it's still under gag order and it's still under seal, that's a freaking problem. And everyone should care about that, because that's another law being freaking broken that the court's just not going to give two shits about. So if it's being freaking leaked, it needs to be found out about. And it sounds to me that it's still a great possibility that it was freaking leaked because homeboy needed permission to play it. And none of this stuff started popping up with people that had requests in probably since the day that this shit happened and the 911 call was even like told to us about. Again, they wouldn't be going back all the way to January of 2023 and saying, this happened in January of 2023, and this is why we couldn't fulfill your request then. This request has been in since the beginning of time. They didn't get a response until today. I promise you, these mainstream people would have gotten their information way before Gray Pubes would have. All right? No. Full of shit. I don't trust him at all. This is all damage control. I want to know what Hitler's going to say too, because he wants to be such a stickler for rules. And he said the transcript was fine. But then again, it was also very cherry picked because there's stuff in here that's not in the transcript. So there's that. Now I'm going to play the call. I'm going to play it one time through all the way. And then I'm going to play it and we're going to talk about it. And I'm going to pull up the transcript. And I know that like Gray Hughes has already done this on his channel and other people have already done it. Well, I haven't. And I have a lot of questions because it really bothered me. What happened? Oh, Tracy again. Thank you for the 10 gifted memberships. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. So I'm going to play this. And then, like I said, we're going to go back in and we're going to, like, I'm going to see what I can find. If y'all can, like, throw out something, then I'll put it on there too. My issue with the whole thing is that we were told a different story than what this alludes to. It just doesn't make sense. It just really doesn't make sense at all the way that it is played out. Oh, I guess I'll just play the whole thing. No, I don't want to play the whole thing. I don't really want to hear Gray Hughes' voice any more than I freaking had to already. It was disturbing to listen to him as many hours as I had to today. I'm just saying. Okay. Okay. Let me do this now. All right, I'm gonna put my headphones on. Now, I didn't say that it was fake. I just said that it got ran through AIs and it's registering at like 90% not like accurate, and also the emotions don't seem right, and you don't see somebody who's covered in blood with their fingers half off and say, oh, they just didn't wake up from sleep, from drinking too much the night before. So there's still more questions than answers in this complete situation. Thank you for the $9.99 super sticker, Emmy. I very much appreciate it. Thank you so much. So we're going to watch this. Again, we're going to go all the way through one time, and I'm just going to let it play. And then we're going to go back over it again, and we're going to see. I know that in my comments, like a lot of people are having issues with it. I know that a lot of people are saying that the emotions don't feel real. Look, I'll say like this. Even though I have issues with what's happening here, what I've sort of like gotten from it so far is that it's lacking a lot of what I thought should be there. Now, again, people can say, oh, you don't know how you would act. I know how I do act in tragic situations, in traumatic situations, in life or death situations. I do know how I personally would act because I've been there, done that, and probably like shouldn't be alive right now more than once. Okay. So that's not it's completely irrelevant, because even if you hadn't been through something, you still pretty much know if somebody's behavior and the way that they are reacting to something is off. And whenever you have more than just like, oh, well, I don't know, it just sounds funny and you don't have nothing to back it up, that's one thing. That's one thing. But when you have an 8-hour delay, when you have proof that they were messaging each other, talking to each other on the phone frantically, they were scared for some reason, they were worried about everyone else in the freaking house, they were not wanting to be alone. She admits to this, and in the text messages you can hear in what they're saying that they're both very well aware of the situation. She's even calling her dad. She's calling them the next morning. There's all kinds of lies that have been going on about the situation the entire time, and nothing adds up. Nothing adds up. And it wasn't just the 911 call. It continued on after the fact, because we have no actual credibility whatsoever when it comes to Dylan for 1.5 million different freaking reasons. And then we have Bethany, who's apparently the person with exculpatory information for Bryan that's apparently been proven, and she's agreed to be interviewed, and they had to go to her because she's scared to cross state line. Don't y'all think that if she had like any idea in her brain that Bryan was the right guy, that she wouldn't be like so hesitant to come back? Like, if the real guy that she really, really thought was responsible for what happened here is the one sitting at that table in court, don't you think that she would be like totally okay coming back and testifying to make sure that there's justice for what she went through and what happened to her friends? She must not be confident, or she knows she's full of it. Like, I mean, come on. There's only like so many ways that you can get around that, because she's a grown-up, not a little bitty kid. These are people that were paying bills. They signed leases. They put themselves in crazy situations, going out, partying, drinking, doing whatever they wanted to freaking do. They're not little kids. They're just adults with bad decision-making skills. We all were at that age, but that doesn't mean that we were not responsible or needed to be held responsible for our shitty ass actions. Okay. You cannot tell me that it's okay for you to be fully aware that there are people being attacked in a home, and you be fully aware of the situation, the other person be fully aware of the situation, and somehow collectively you both just agree to not call the cops. You both just agree to not leave the house and run because somehow or another, even though you hear all these crazy ass things happening around you, you somehow just aren't worried that you're next on the chopping block. How? Explain that. Explain how 8 hours later you still have somebody else taking the slack for you. You have somebody else coming in and opening doors and calling 911 and answering questions. Like on this 911 call, the main thing is the fact that they don't want to answer the questions. They keep trying to push the phone off to somebody else. No, I don't want to answer. I don't want to talk to them. You've had 8 hours to stew on this, baby girl. It's time for you to grow up. You done called your daddy and called everybody else and their mama, and you don't want to take the phone? That's because you fabricated a story and you're scared you're going to get the lie wrong. I'm sorry, not sorry about it. There's no way around it. Those are the facts of this. There were definite signs of recognition, and no one did anything for 8 hours. And it wasn't just one person. It was both people collectively. How can you be okay with that being two different people? That's two different mindsets, two different ways they were raised, two different freaking brain waves doing the exact same stupid thing. For what reason? What was the reason that those two completely separate ways of thinking and growing up and decision making decided to collectively not call the cops, not run? No, I don't give a damn. I don't care. I'm going to play this now. Are y'all ready? I will advise people who have not heard it yet to be careful, because there is some things in the way that it sounds and things that are not in the transcript. So just be aware. You guys ready? I'm going to play it all the way through and not stop it first.
11:55 a.m. 42 seconds, November 13, 2022.
911 location of your emergency.
Something is happening. Something's happening in our house. We don't know what.
What is the address of the emergency?
1122.
What is the rest of the address?
Oh, Kings Road.
Okay. And is that a house or an apartment?
It's a house.
Can you repeat the address to make sure that I have it right?
I'll talk to you guys. We live at the White, so we're next to them.
I need someone to repeat the address for verification.
The address, 1122 King Road.
And what's the phone number that you're calling from?
What's your phone number?
And tell me exactly what's going on.
One of the roommates has passed out, and she was drunk last night, and she's not waking up.
Okay.
Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah. Hi,
and are you with the patient? Okay, I need someone to keep the phone, stop passing it around.
Can I just tell you what happened pretty much?
What is going on currently? Is someone passed out right now?
I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m.
Okay, I need to know what's going on right now if someone is passed out. Can you find that out?
Yeah, I'll come. Come on, we gotta go check. But we have to. Is it Costco? What's wrong? She's not waking up.
Okay, one moment. I'm getting help started that way.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and how old is she?
She's 20.
20, you said?
Yeah, 20.
Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, I need someone to stop passing the phone around because I've talked to 4 different people.
Okay. Sorry, they just gave me the phone.
Is she breathing?
Hello?
Is she breathing?
No.
Okay.
You need to talk to them, okay? I can't talk to them. They need you to talk to them.
Hello?
Okay. I've already sent the ambulance and law enforcement. Stay on the line. If there is a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
Say that again? There's a police here right now.
Okay. If there is a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
We don't have one. I can see it. Do you have a defibrillator? Yep. Yes, we have one.
Are you talking to the officer?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to let you go since he's there with you and can help you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Okay.
11:59 a.m. 49 seconds, November 13, 2022.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to listen to because you already know all the questions surrounding that whole situation. So I don't know. We're going to turn it back and try to see the differences because there's a lot of stuff missing. And what I'm trying to figure out is this. And I don't know I know who posted this certain page on Twitter, but they're trying to say that it came from Gray Hughes, but I didn't see this on his stuff. In part of the transcript, he went in and wrote a bunch of stuff in, and then in a purple box there was some white text in a certain portion of it. And it said everything that I'm waiting for. Everything that I'm freaking waiting for. I'm waiting for the door to be busted open by Hunter. I'm waiting to hear an actual door. So that's why I want to go back and listen to it again because this is what he puts in there. That the door is actually heard and that you can hear somebody yelling Xana's name and then saying, get out, get out. And I think I saw a conspiracy say that she heard, get out, get out, get out. So that makes it even more confusing because what we were told is that the girls couldn't get Xana's door open. That's why they called an outside source to come and help them get Xana's door open, which would mean Hunter Johnson, according to Kaylee Goncalves that told us to drunk turkey guy. Okay. And once he got the door open and got his head inside and saw the scene and saw Xana and Ethan, he yelled, get the F out and call the cops. That's what the Goncalveses relayed because that's what they were told. This gives a completely different perspective because if you have that door open already and you're looking inside, there's no way in shit you're saying any damn thing about somebody drinking too much and just not waking up. And just like somebody else commented in here, they're more focused on the fact that somebody was drinking too much the night before and not waking up more than they are about somebody apparently being seen walking through the house. That's not the first thing they're even saying. They're only mentioning the alcohol. They're not mentioning the fact that some stranger was apparently in the house. And that's like an afterthought. That's a complete afterthought, which is weird. So, I mean, it could easily just be that the Goncalveses either didn't understand the events that took place, or they were told it out of order. But it was probably all out of order to begin with. But we need to know why. We need to know how it freaking happened. Thank you for rejoining, RV. Thank you. Because if Hunter coming over and getting the door open and seeing blood and telling them to get out and call the cops isn't what triggered the 911 call, then that just really means they didn't go upstairs to check on Maddie and Kaylee like we originally thought, because we always questioned, why did they ask for an outside source to come in and help them get the door open, but the 911 call is apparently only for Ethan and Xana because of the Hunter connection. Nothing about Kaylee and Maddie was ever talked about in any of it. It's like they were another afterthought, and that they didn't even it didn't even hit in anyone's brains to even think about going up to the third floor until the cops already got there. Now that portion of it sort of sounds like that's the case, because it sounds like the defibrillator conversation is happening with the cops already getting there, and then we sort of hear footsteps upstairs and the heavy breathing, I guess. That's why I want to go back over and exactly why, how no mention of blood. That's what makes no sense. So there really is no mention of no blood whatsoever in between Xana's room and upstairs where Maddie and Kaylee were found in Maddie's room, or else there would be no question as to what the frick is happening. You wouldn't be questioning, oh, somebody freaking drank too much and just isn't waking up. No, that wouldn't even be anything that crossed your brain if you've got blood from room to room, up and down stairs. And it makes no sense. How come no one is talking and she won't wake up? See, that's another thing that makes no sense, because what did Ann Taylor say in court? She said that whenever the first responders got there, it looks like on the cameras that all of the doors were wide open. That would mean that Bethany's door was open, that Dylan's door was wide open, and at that point, Xana's door was wide open. But everyone is saying that they do hear what sounds like a thud and the door getting open. the door getting opened while the call is being made and not the reason for the call. So it doesn't make any sense. The whole thing makes no sense. None. Thank you for the 1999 Camera Obscura. I very much appreciate that. Thank you. I very much appreciate it. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't add up. And again, Murphy, how come we don't hear him barking anywhere? Like if we're being told that the doors were wide open and Murphy was sitting in Kaylee's room with the door freaking wide open, according to the body cam of, was it Nunez, according to the report? Why don't we hear him barking all over the place and running around? Okay, I'm about to play this again. I wanted to play it with the transcript on it, but I cannot like play it and stop it, I guess. So I guess I'm just going to go in and fill in transcript on a later day, and we're just going to like pause and discuss as we hear it. And I'll get a transcript together with like the rest of it in a video maybe. That might take some time because there's a lot of mumbo jumbo, so I'm not even going to try to promise that. But a transcript all the way out for sure.
(11:55 a.m. 42 seconds). No.
Okay, there's number one. How come, like, I know that it's like just a few minutes here nor there, but why the frick were we told from the beginning that the call was made at 11:58 when they called it 11:55? Like, that just in itself. Why can't you just freaking tell us that they called in at 11:55 in the morning? I don't understand. Why lie about that right on the freaking, like, beginning?
November 13, 2022.
911 location of your emergency.
Now, this is supposed to be Bethany because we've been sort of misled into thinking this whole time that it was Dylan's phone that the 911 call was made off of. But in the document, it says that it was actually Bethany's. So I'm just going to assume, because this doesn't sound anything at all like the voice that comes on and starts talking about 4 a.m., which we know to be Dylan's voice. This is not Dylan. So this is definitely Bethany talking here.
We don't know what.
What is the address of the emergency?
1122.
No, see, was that like no stop or something? Like who? What? I don't know what that yelling portion is. Yeah, I don't know what the hell that was.
What is the rest of the address?
Oh, Kings Road.
Okay. And is that a house or an apartment?
It's a house.
Can you repeat the address to make sure that I have it right?
I'll talk to you guys. We live at the light, so we're next to them.
So
The house.
that's
The
supposed
house
to be Emily.
Okay. And is that a house or an apartment? What is the rest?
See, this is the part that's confusing because it's like Bethany. I'm assuming it's Bethany because we know whenever it's Dylan and it doesn't sound that they don't sound the same, and we know it came from Bethany's phone. And it sounds like she's like crying, and then she stops. There's a bunch of yelling in the background, but then it sounds like it's still her for a second.
What is the rest of the address?
Oh, Kings Road.
Okay. And is that a house or an apartment?
It's a house.
Can you repeat the address to make sure that I have it right?
I'll talk to you guys.
And see, like she just like takes the phone. And it, like was like, how did the switch off even happen? Like she's just talking, then all of a sudden the girl just like swoops in. I don't know.
We live at the light, so we're next to them.
I need someone to repeat the address for verification.
The address, 1122 King Road.
And what's the phone number that you're calling from?
What's your phone number?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like she just took over the call.
And tell me exactly what's going on.
One of the roommates has passed out, and she was drunk last night and she's not waking up.
See, so at this point, this is what fucking bothers me, bro. I don't give a damn. This is so stupid. At this point, we know damn well that Dylan has called and spoken to these people because we see that she's getting text messages, she's getting phone calls, them all showing up is like an orchestrated event that Dylan put together to have them all show up at the exact same time, meaning that before they even got there, a story was told to these people. So you're telling me that you show up into this freaking house where there's 4 people that were killed and their bodily fluids are leaking out all over the freaking house and you don't smell anything, and the first thing that you think is that they're telling you the truth about somebody just drinking too much and not waking up? How are you in that house or anywhere near that front door not smelling anything? There's just no freaking way. There's just no way. The way that she took it, I'm like, bro. Like, she just took the phone from Bethany? Or did Bethany, like, give it to her and then she took over the phone? Like, it's hard to tell because she's just like, I'll just talk to you guys. Like, she's real matter of fact. We know, which is great if she really is, like, really that well controlled in a traumatic situation. But you're the one saying the story that you were told. So even after these 2 girls are texting each other, freaking out, scared for their lives, talking about all these things they're hearing, talking about all the shit that Dylan is apparently seeing, freaking out, telling each other to run down here so that you're not alone, they're still telling the story to people that they just got drunk and won't wake up, even after all the crazy shit that they've already like been scared of themselves. Yeah, that's an orchestrated ass lie. That's an orchestrated ass lie.
Okay.
Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah.
Oh, and they saw some men in their house last night. But again, the drinking the night before is the reason why everything is insane right now, not the stranger running through the house.
Hi. Hi,
And are you with the patient? Okay, I need someone.
Are you with the patient?
The patient? Okay, I need someone to keep the phone, stop passing it around.
Can I just tell you what happened pretty much?
What is going on currently? Is someone passed out right now?
I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m.
Okay, I need to know what's going on right now.
Pretty much at 4 a.m. She instantly is just like, you need to know that I've been aware for 8 hours that there's some bullshittery afoot. And I've just now decided to tell you anything, but still was not the one who freaking dialed 911. I called 20,000 other freaking people and my daddy before I even bothered to call the cops. But I've known since 4 a.m. That's another damn thing, okay? That's another freaking thing. How the hell do we have this 911 call where she's literally like, and I've already thought about putting a video about this stuff together, like about how the timeline shifted, but how were they telling us between, what was it, like 3 and 4, something like that? I was trying to think if maybe they had cut it shorter at some point, but I don't think they did. I think they left it at 3 to 4. Why would they tell us anything like prior to 4 o'clock, knowing that like they had the car coming in at a certain time? They had Dylan saying on the 911 call 4 o'clock whenever it started, basically, and they had these text messages between the girls. Like, I really wonder if all the text messages and like the proof that they knew what was going on had been deleted and it wasn't like readily available on their phones whenever the cops first were like scrolling through their phones, and they didn't actually see the proof of the timeline until after they did the forensic download and actually dug into their like back end files. Like, I really am wondering if those conversations were deleted because they gave us the wrong timeline until the freaking arrest happened. So in no way, shape, or form were they ever worried about getting the freaking timeline put correct, even though they apparently had all this information from their phones. They just allowed it to be wrong the whole time. This is just insane. Oh, none of this makes any sense.
Now, if someone is passed out, can you find that out?
Yeah, I'll come. Come on, we gotta go check.
So that's Dylan saying, come on, we've got to go check. Meaning they haven't actually looked yet, is how it sounds. Because if you're talking about an unconscious person needing to go be checked on and you're like, okay, let's go check, that means you haven't checked yet.
Stop passing it around.
Can I just tell you what happened pretty much?
What is going on currently? Is someone passed out right now?
I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m.
Okay, I need to know what's going on right now if someone is passed out. Can you find that out?
Yeah, I'll come. Come on, we gotta go check.
I'm trying to figure out if somebody's passed out right now. Can you go find out? Isn't Dylan the one who freaked out and had people come over because she thought that somebody was not waking up and unconscious? And now she's saying, yeah, I'll go check and see if somebody's passed out. I can't deal with this. I can't deal with this. Thank you for the 20, Jennifer. I very much appreciate it. Thank you for being here and trying to figure this mess out, because this is insane. A lot of this still isn't adding up right.
But we have to.
But we have to. See, it doesn't help that the click-clack of the dispatcher's keyboard is in the background, because the background noise of the call is already really, really bad. And I think that may be why, honestly, the AR scanners are showing it at such a high percentage, because just the little clip that Gray put out, it's like 90 and above on the scanners that are being posted, the results that are being posted on Twitter. But one of the major key factors from what I was looking up today, anyway, that's just me doing research for 5 minutes. Okay, I'm not a freaking AI expert. All right. But one of the major key factors is distorted ass background noise. And I think that maybe because we're hearing background noise from all the different people in the area contaminating the shit out the crime scene. And you can hear steps on the stairs. This house, you could hear movement in. Really, all this really did is also help prove the acoustics of that house, if you want to be so for real. But I think the background noise and the clickety clack of the dispatcher keyboard might be the reason why it's getting such a high testing result. That's where my brain's at with that. See, I can't understand what that's saying. I wonder if my captions just say it. Did they pick it up? Something, what's wrong? Okay, so that's the part of the transcript where she says she's passed out. What's wrong, or something like that. See, this is the part of, yeah, we got to go check, even though she's passed out. What's wrong? Here it is right here. So we're at this portion. Yeah, I'm going to have to go in and really dissect that, because this transcript is cray-cray.
She's not waking up.
She's not waking up. We can play it again after this and maybe slow it down just a little bitty bit and see if it changes it.
Okay. One moment. I'm getting help started that way.
Okay, thank you.
See, that breathing is interesting for sure. Thank you, Jane, on the journey. Insomnia watching is different time over there, that's for sure.
Okay. One moment. I'm getting help started that way.
Okay, thank you.
Now she's breathing in a bit. See, and what bothers me about the panic breathing is that they knew that there was shit going on 8 hours beforehand. It's just insane to me that they're apparently having this sort of reaction with everything that we're hearing, and also not freaking hearing that we should be hearing, and we're not hearing it. Thank you for the $20, Alf. Thanks for bringing us the best info. I'm just trying to get the truth out here. I just want the truth out here, because all these people playing games with stuff is just so disgusting. I just don't understand why. This is stupid enough. This is dumb enough. This is tragic enough. This is horrible enough. We just don't need it. We don't need it at all. Thank you for the 99-cent super sticker, policy. I very much appreciate it. Thank you so much. See, that's a whisper there. And I'm not sure if it says Kaylee. I'm just not sure. I think this person had it right. Do you know where Kaylee is? Yeah. That's what it almost sounds like. It almost sounds more like, I don't know where Kaylee is, or do you know where Kaylee is? Because it's a possibility that they went up and looked in Kaylee's room at that part, because I do hear like steps being taken up the stairs, and maybe she like went towards Kaylee's door and noticed that Kaylee wasn't in there and then turned around. That's what I'm thinking there, maybe. Yeah. Okay, see the get out. Okay, so it sounds like they might be upstairs. Hold on. I need to hear a little bit more back.
She's not waking up.
Okay, that's somebody yelling Xana's name. I just heard Xana. I didn't hear that before. I heard Xana.
She's not waking up.
Okay, one moment. I'm getting help started that way.
Okay, thank you.
That might have been the door getting busted open, or maybe him hitting the door. I already hear dispatch, but that's because we're on the phone with the operator too. That had to have been Hunter. Which Hunter is it? Because both Hunters were there. Hunter Chapin and Hunter Johnson was there. Thank you for the $14.99, Cheryl Smith. She said, I think Dylan knows exactly what happened that night, and I think it's rug related. A lot of people think so, that it was like a message or something. But the only issue I have with it being related to something like that is people that do stuff like this to this extent usually don't leave witnesses. And if Home Chick was really making as much noise as she claims that she was, or they claim that she was, getting up and opening the door and closing it and opening the door and closing it, blah, 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 all the millions of times, there's just no way that anybody would have been left alive, in my opinion, if that was the case. But a lot of people think that, and I could be wrong. A lot of people think that. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me that Kaylee moved in there around like the end of summer. She only stayed there for like a few months before she started staying with her parents, but she was still paying her lease there because her stuff was still there. She wasn't moving yet. She was going on a trip before she was going to be moving. Like, she moved in to just not live there, basically. Like, she moved in, was barely there, and then like for some reason decided to still pay the bills but not stay there, which I always found strange. And then the fact that Dylan couldn't take any freaking body else to this party or this dance, or where the frick it was. She had to drive all the way to where Kaylee's parents' house was to go and ask Kaylee to her freaking face to go to this party with her. And then Kaylee was hesitant to even go back. Like, we cannot just forget that that is a situation here, because that's freaking sketchy as shit. Okay. That's sketchy as shit. And then the second you come back, you've got one night where you actually like show up with the person that invited you to the area, and then the next night you're gone. There's just no way. But yeah, both Hunters were there. So I don't know if this is Hunter Chapin or Hunter Johnson, but if this is the portion of the Goncalves story that came out, then it would be Hunter Johnson, who just made the noise that we heard with the door. We heard him saying Xana, Xana a couple times, and then he just said, get out, get out. So this is the part right here that the Goncalves has told us. Well, I mean, that's a great point. I mean, it does suck, but so is Maisie, right? And so then you have to really ask, why does Stacy Chapin make a statement about 2 a.m. being the darkest hour if her other two kids were part of the posse of kids that were called over right before the 911 call was made? That's something else that's just really crazy to me in this situation, because they were there. So what do they know? What do they know? See, look, I'm going to tell you right now. Before I ever heard that people thought that this said something about Kaylee, I thought it said, I'm going to get so much shit for this, I swear on everything. I thought she said, Lord, forgive me. I'm not even going to sit here and lie. That's what I thought this said before everybody said, no, it says something about Kaylee. To me, it sounds like something about forgive me, but that's just my ears. See, like it does sound like she's saying something about Kaylee given the context, but then the instant get out, like, is that not really Xana's room that he said the get out for? Was it really them getting Maddie's door open? And that's why whenever the first responders got there, all of the doors were open, because at this point on the call, this is where they're running around the house. I feel like they were both. I feel like we're hearing Dylan go upstairs with the phone. One of the boys is upstairs. We heard some noise, but we also heard Xana's name, but then we heard get out, get out, get out. But it does sound like she's saying either Kaylee's not in there or something about Kaylee. And if they went upstairs, opened her door and only saw Murphy, and then he had went and opened the other door forcefully, and then you hear get out, get out, get out, that could be about Maddie and Kaylee getting found. All of this is just so convoluted. It's so hard to be able to keep up with exactly what's going on here and like who is supposed to be where and what's going on with what. But see, they could have released this so freaking long ago, because in the end, none of this points to the guy that they have in cuffs. It really doesn't. This doesn't prove anything whatsoever when it comes to innocence or guilt. So how is this the violation of the gag order for this to have been out a long time ago? Like, you guys should remember by now, literally the day before they came out and told us that they arrested Bryan Kohberger, Chief Fry was out here doing one of his small little media update videos in front of the Moscow Police Department with the little shield thing behind him on the window. All right, we saw those for forever. Teasing that they were thinking about releasing the 911 call, knowing that Payne and all these other people were already setting up ship to go and do crazy stuff to Bryan Kohberger in Pennsylvania. Like, he knew they were already on the plane to Pennsylvania whenever he came out and lied to the public about it. What about this would have caused unfair injustice? It's a 911 call. Like, this coming out very, very early on, whenever they already told us how many people, well, actually, they didn't tell us how many people, but one of the very first things they did was admit to us how contaminated the crime scene was, that friends were summoned over. There is nothing here that proves innocence or guilt to literally anyone. It makes it sound worse because we already know for a fact that they were communicating with each other and knew that some shady shit was going down. And now we hear crying and freaking out and hyperventilating. But what the frick were you doing 8 hours before this? In the midst of the crazy actually happening, where was this reaction then? And you don't call the cops, you call a bunch of people over and make them take over for you. They had 8 hours to plan how this was going to go, who they were going to call. And I bet you she ran it past her daddy too, because that's why they had a conversation. And just because they're saying that there was a text communication or a text exchange between Dylan and her dad doesn't mean that there wasn't phone calls. Because the only way that the text messages make any sense and the timing of the text messages is if there's phone calls in between those lines. So there's no way that there wasn't more conversation there. There's just no way.
Okay, and how old is she?
See, that's another thing. The transcript has the freaking operator telling the world that this is a 20-year-old unresponsive person before anything about her being 20 is even said. And people were freaking the shit out saying, how did the dispatcher know that? Look right here. That one, copy about 20-year-old female unconscious trying to get further. The way that this was put and cherry picked and cut and pasted and sections of it taken out had everyone freaking out, wondering how the hell the dispatcher knew that Xana was 20 years old before she'd even asked the question. You can't tell me they didn't purposely. You cannot tell me that they didn't purposely misconstrue the 911 call. They didn't know, Katie. That's the point. They didn't know the age. The transcript came out here and gave a false perception about what was said. It wasn't until this part that I just played that her age was even mentioned. And this is the dispatcher directly asking the question, not making the statement. So the transcript gave a false impersonation, a false pretense, a false narrative, and had people thinking a bunch of crazy stuff that wasn't true. See? See? See how they had that like screwed up, like this unintelligible, whatever. This part is where she's like asking how old she is, but this right here is not even heard in here. So why is this part even in the transcript? This part right here about this, that's not even heard. This right here where she says, okay, and how old is she? That's the first time we hear anything about the age. So why are they playing games like this? Oh my God.
Okay, I need someone to stop passing the phone around because I've talked to 4 different people.
Sorry.
That's the dispatch radio. That sounds like Bethany. See, that's another thing. Who the frick? Who the frick just has a defibrillator hanging around? That's a common thing to ask. If there's a defibrillator, let me know. Like, you just sent the police out. You still hear them saying that they're on their way. They haven't told you that the cops are there yet. And you're just like asking them if they just randomly have a defibrillator hanging around. Oh, y'all can't hear it. So whenever I go to the other page, it cuts it off. That's some crackhead crap. Okay. Tell me if you can hear it now.
Hello?
Is she breathing?
No.
Okay.
You need to talk to them, okay? I can't talk to them. They need you to talk to them.
Hello. Okay. I've already sent the ambulance and law enforcement. Stay on the line. If there is a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
So weird.
Say that again. There's a police here right now.
Okay. If there is a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
See, that again, like she's even saying the cops are here now, and she's still saying, okay, so if somebody has a defibrillator, send somebody to go get it. Okay, well, you're not going to be the civilian person calling for help, telling the EMS people or the people that show up that you need a defibrillator because a lady on the dispatch phone said to direct somebody with the defibrillator. Like the EMS, the first responder people are going to know what the frick to do. Like that's kind of like their job. So she really is just like saying this to a person like it's just so freaking normal to have a defibrillator in your whole house. That's how she's acting. So, see, that sounded like something about she's not breathing or something like that, but I can't tell if it's coming over the radio when the dispatcher's phone line. It doesn't sound like it's coming through like the roommate's phone like it's there. It sounds like it's coming through the dispatch phone.
Have it.
We don't have Do you have a defibrillator? Yes, we have one.
Are you talking to the officer?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to let you go since he's there with you and can help you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Okay.
11:59 a.m. 49 seconds, November 13, 2022.
It didn't. Yeah, that's another thing. How come we don't hear sirens? How come we don't hear sirens? I don't understand this 911 call. Why? How come we're not hearing anyone talk about blood? We don't hear any screams from seeing bodies. We're not hearing any screams from seeing cut open bodies or fingers halfway off. Like, why are we not hearing them freak out about there being blood all over the house? How come we're not hearing anything like that? I read it, Abby. Thank you for the $5 though. I read it earlier. It was on it came from KXLY, which is 4 News Now, the channel that released it on YouTube. They got that response as their FOIA request, which is what I would, and that's another thing, no dog barking. No dog barking. And see, that's another thing that I was saying when it came to the release of stuff. Okay. Gray Hughes, again, said that he got permission to release the little piece of a clip that he had. If you had something approved via a FOIA, you don't need permission to do anything with it. It's yours. It was given to you because Merca, and now you can go and do whatever you want. He's not showing the like email request that he got. He's not showing the FOIA approval request that he got. KXLY did exactly what I do. They showed receipts about why they have it. People were questioning it. Now they have the proof. The lawyer's office, who takes care of what Whitcomb decides to do, sent out a letter and said, well, they put the transcript out. So we just collectively decided on our freaking own because we asked our own Superior Court here in Washington to give us some sort of answer about the gag order, and we never got one. So because no one's answering our freaking question, and now the transcript's out, we're no longer obligated to give a damn. So we're just going to do whatever we want, is basically what happened here. That's basically what the frick happened here. And this is the point. And this is my problem that I have with this, okay? KXLY has had that FOIA in for forever. That's why that letter says all of the breakdown things that happened in January of 2023 and then says, this is why we couldn't fulfill your request then. That means that the request has been in since the beginning of forever, okay? If Gray Hughes would have really had this FOIA approved, he would have shown his own freaking letter. Okay. And I still stand by what I said because Drunk Turkey was supposed to go live at like 7:30 tonight. So my goal was to go live late anyway, like regardless of what my plans were going to be, because I wanted to know what he was going to freaking say. Because at this point, we only had the clip and we had News Nation removing it and nothing making any sense because no one else had gotten a FOIA. And now at this point, I have 2 emails from Ada County telling me that it is still under seal via the court, that the court has it under seal and that they are going to do with it what the order is, but that there are other entities that have control of their own versions or whatever when it comes to possession of the audio, and that they can't say what anyone else is doing. So while it is still under seal, Whitcomb has now said, well, you release a transcript. So now we're just going to go ahead and release it because we asked the court for forever. They never said a word. So while this might still be under seal for Idaho, it's been released via an official entity And a lawyer's office has given the response and said exactly the reasons why. And the court really can't do anything about it because Washington is the one who released it. So Hitler can be pissed, but he maybe didn't know about the pending situation in Washington. I don't know. I wonder if the state even knew about it. I don't know. They don't seem to communicate very well whatsoever with each other, so it really wouldn't surprise me if he didn't really know anything about anything. But if Gray Hughes would have gotten this via a FOIA, he wouldn't have said what he said. And for those of you who didn't hear what he said, let me just go ahead and play you what he said because I have it in here. I have it in my video of the 911 call because I wanted to make a point. Thank you for the gifted membership, RV. I appreciate it. Listen to this because it tells you in his own freaking voice that he had to get permission. And then he says that once the rest of it's out, then we're going to do that too. Yeah.
I was given permission to play a little bit of that. I'm doing it because I need people to realize that it's actually real. So probably pretty soon, the entire thing will be able to be put out there, and we'll do that.
See, he literally says he had to get permission. You don't need permission if you got a FOIA request approved. This was cleanup. This was cleanup. And I stand by what I said about Drunk Turkey. He can kiss my fat ass, okay? He lied. He didn't have the audio. He was going to wait. He was piggybacking off the fact that Gray Hughes put something out first. If Daniel would have put it out first, then maybe I could have believed him just a little teeny bit. But he waited until Gray Hughes said something, and then he said something, and then he lied and said he wasn't going to play it, and that he wasn't going to play anything until the mainstream media released it, and that he had been working on enhancing it. But then apparently while he's talking shit about it, he's asking people in chat if they'll enhance it for him. So you've either been working on it or you haven't been working on it. But I just don't believe him at all. I really do believe that he was going to take the mainstream media audio and do like everyone else did, record it and then put it out. But he was going to sit there and act as if he got it before anybody else did. Oh, this is the one I told you about, with no proof of that, because that's what he does. He lies, he manipulates, he clickbaits, and it's bullshit. And he does it all the time. And he has no couth whatsoever. No couth at all. He is full of shit. He is completely full of shit. And his wife doesn't she doesn't stop him. Like, she's a mod on his channel, and people go in there telling him all the time, like, everything you're saying is wrong. Here's the proof, this, that, and everything else. And everyone who's trying to like prove that he's a liar just gets blocked left and right. It's just so ridiculous. I mean, I don't understand why lie. Like, why freaking lie? It's so stupid. Like, it's tragically stupid enough. I guess because he's still going off of like the leg he has for talking to the Goncalveses to begin with. And so he thinks that like he has a pass or some shit. I don't know why he does what he does, but he does it with no stance. Like, there's no point. Exactly. There's no reason to freaking lie. See, I don't think so. I really don't know if the family could have had it. I just don't believe that. I mean, at this point, I really just don't, because they don't get told anything. They did not even get a heads up that the transcript and the 911 call, like, they didn't know that the transcript for the 911 call and the text messages were even going to be released. And I know that Steve Goncalves came out and said that was Shannon, but I also confirmed that with another family member, that they did not know that these were going to be released whatsoever. Just like they didn't know that the freaking audio was released either until I told them. That News 4 Now or whatever the frick had it. They didn't know. They're not told anything. So if they're not getting told something simple like, hey, we're going to start doing some redactions instead of sealing everything, so we're going to go ahead and release the transcripts for the 911 call and the text messages. Like, if they're not even getting heads up on little things like that, they're not getting stuff like that. They're not getting the 911 call. There ain't no way. I don't believe that, Lisa. No. I don't believe that. They're going to have to show me proof of that. They have to show me proof of that. Just like if he would have shown proof that he actually received an audio file, like the whole time that he's playing it, Gray's playing it, he's playing it with the transcript right there. Instead of being like, I got it on this date and like showing the proof and the timestamp of whenever he got it or whatever the hell's going on. Like, why are you being so shady? Especially since he knows, again, about the fake audio that already happened in this case. So he knew already that him just coming out and saying whatever the frick he said and then playing that little clip of bullshit, that people were going to ask questions because it's already happened. So of course we're going to be like super protective over this audio that's suddenly coming out. We already had somebody pull some bullshit. There's no freaking like reason. Well, I mean, I don't know. Has she proven when she got it? I don't watch her. I honestly don't watch that channel. I know a lot of y'all do, but I don't watch that channel. But did she prove it? Did she put proof that she had it a long time ago? I mean, I just don't see how so many people would have had it and nobody ever played it. That doesn't make any actual sense. Actually, no, because again, you don't need to get permission to play something that you got via a FOIA. So no, that's not the truth when it comes to Gray Hughes. If anything, KXLY got it first. KXLY got it first. She didn't get anything. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if she can prove that people got it ahead of time, then I mean, I'll believe it. But right now I'm going off of the receipts that I'm seeing in front of my face. And I already I know that there's a bunch more people in here than there was whenever I showed it, but I sent emails myself to Ada County and to the prosecutor and to the defense team. And I got emails back from 2 different people at Ada County telling me that it is still under seal with the court, but that other entities are in control of it. And they basically don't know what those other people could possibly be doing with it. So that's just what it is. See, today, yeah. That means that she got it today like everybody else got it today. That's not people having it for a long time and not playing it. That makes the most sense. Because if this one came in to KXLY and it's stamped 314, then yeah, it makes sense they're going down the line and they're responding to them. That makes complete sense. NBC News. I saw it first on the local station on 4 News Now. You're obviously not understanding. I don't have time to repeat myself. I'm not a parrot. Yeah, I mean, it makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. Like, I don't understand why all the insanity. Like, it's not necessary. It's not necessary. And I don't even honestly know if the story that we're getting from Whitcomb is true, or again, if it's cleanup because this piece came out from Gray Hughes and everyone is now questioning, I guess, the integrity of the case because we're hearing more bullshit now. And then on top of that, what's she hiding this for? This doesn't prove anything. This doesn't go for innocence or guilt. It makes your 2 survivors look like crap is what it does, even more than it already did. And we now suspect a lot more bullshittery than we already did. And again, us thinking that there's an issue here doesn't necessarily mean that we're saying that they're involved in the deaths of these kids. That's not these college kids, these college adults. Okay. That's not the case either, but there might be some sort of self-preservation situation here that could have actually caused someone's life to not get saved whenever it could have been saved, because we don't really know the truth about any of that either. We know a timeline based off of a bunch of bullshit and some chick who doesn't know whether her brain was actually playing games with her or not. And again, let me just repeat what she said about the intruder that she apparently did see. Not only was the person wearing all black, like Bethany is now pointing out that Xana was also wearing all black, but the bushy eyebrows was not eyebrows, but one eyebrow, meaning the weird eyeball art that she has on her wall. And she also stated that she knew he was white. She just didn't know how he was white, just that he was white, meaning she was looking at her eyebrow art on her white walls in a state of something going on in her mind and thinking that whatever she's looking at is associated with the sounds that she's now hearing. Not only that, but it says in the documents that Dylan found it strange that whatever this thing was with the bushy eyebrows and the whiteness that she didn't know how it happened wasn't speaking to her or coming towards her. Well, that again means to me that you're looking at wall art. That's an inanimate object that cannot speak nor move. I don't believe that she saw anything. I really just kind of don't. It doesn't really add up. Now, again, I could be wrong because they say she opened the door more than once, but what she's describing is very easily like explained if you know the actual circumstances around it, and now we do. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense, especially since weeks later, this person turns into a fireman carrying some sort of vacuum thing. It's really hard to not have 1,000 questions and wonder why we have so many problems here. Because again, they could have been fully aware of the situation going on and still chose not to call the cops because they themselves were involved in something and they didn't want to get in trouble for whatever they were involved in. So they decided to do some sort of cleanup for their own lives before moving forward. Why? How else can you explain the situation here? They are both very much acknowledging the fact that there is a situation, yet neither one of them are trying to run out the house and get away from the situation because neither one of them are scared that they're next. They hear some crazy shit that's freaking them out and they're scared and they don't want to be alone, but they're not running for their lives or trying to reach out to anybody that can make them feel safe. To me, that's a red flag that they just knew some shit was going on, but that they were safe from it. They just had to sit there and be a piece of furniture in the chaos. And they just knew that that was the assignment. That's how it feels to me. That's how it feels to me. It's just too much. It's just so ridiculous. You don't hear anything when it comes to there being blood, cuts, injuries. And again, the person who takes the phone is somebody that was called over there, somebody that there is text messages and phone calls exchanged with. And her story to the dispatch was, well, somebody drank too much, now they won't wake up. That means that's the freaking story that the girls were telling them. Instantly, the guy being in the house was an afterthought. Didn't even really freaking matter at the time. It's not even like, honestly, it's not even like the main forethought in their brain that even after the fact where they're supposed to be seeing all the rest of these things, the fact that a man was in your house, that's still just like, just in the back. None of that makes any sense. And that's exactly it. Like if you are freaking texting each other and you are both saying that you're freaked out, hurry, run, come down here. It's better than being alone. I'm freaking out, blah, 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 whatever. You're literally telling her to come run downstairs to your bedroom instead of y'all both running down them stairs out the freaking front door. Out the freaking front door. And Bethany had a car there. They could have gotten in that car and freaking took off. Even if she was like all screwed up, okay? She could have easily still gotten in that freaking car and made some sort of like run like a few houses down or across down the corner, somewhere away from that house where she could have pounded on somebody's door. She could have driven enough to get somewhere. You don't run out the house. You don't jump in your car. You don't run for safety. You know, when I had to call the cops in my situation because he was trying to kill me, okay, I had to get in the car, like get my kids in the car and leave and drive 2 miles away and actually go to the police station and find a cop in the police station and get out of the car bloodied and full of cuts because of everything that just happened to me. It was obvious, the situation, you know, really freaking obvious. But these girls, they can easily, if she can go to Bethany's room, she can go out that front door. And instead, she decides to just corner herself in that room all night and then call her dad and call everyone else in the morning and still not do anything. I'm sorry, but no. No! Exactly. Look how fast the cops got there. Look how fast the cops got there. They could have ran to the frat houses. They could have ran to the other freaking houses across Banfield. If you go back, which we probably will go back over the 4chan thing eventually, just because I really want to hone down on the timeline that's in that, because it's hella accurate. It's really accurate. It took like a minute and a half, I think, of a walk for them to get from where the party was to King Road. These girls could have ran out the house and done any number of freaking things to get help that doesn't even have to do with a phone. They could have pounded on the girl next door's freaking door that's now taking over the phone call. They could have ran down to Jack's house. Exactly. The cops are never more than 2 minutes away from that house. And think about that night. Like, they might have not known that there were cops on patrol that night. Look at my eyes. Okay, they might have not known that cops were on patrol that night. But even if they would have taken just the simple chance of like running out the house and screaming for help, there was a freaking cop patrolling that freaking area. I mean, they were just at the Banfield just minutes before this. And the police department was right there. This was a place where there was always drugs and drinking. The cops were driving. Like, how are we the bad guys for asking questions whenever there's literally nothing that even adds up? Like, I can't find a single thing that makes sense. I'm so tired of it. I don't think they slept. They might have passed out for a few hours, maybe from like the adrenaline crash, if that was what the situation was. But they didn't sleep for no 8 hours. I think they were full of shit and they were planning stuff out. Because like I said, what was it, like an hour and a half before the 911 call, she calls her father. An hour and a half. Or maybe it was an hour. It was an hour. No, it was at 10:23. She texted Maddie and Kaylee trying to see if they're awake. And then it was probably, I think it was like 30 minutes or so. It was before the 911 call. And before she calls Emily, that she has a text exchange with her dad. So they're having a conversation. She's having a conversation with her parental unit about what's happening. And we're supposed to believe that you're not under the assumption that some crazy shit actually did go down, that maybe your head wasn't playing with you. And again, this is two people, man. This is not one person making a crazy ass mistake, or maybe just being a little bit too stupidly immature to know what the frick to do. These are two people that collectively decided to just play it out. Because they knew that whatever it was wasn't going to come through their door. None of this makes any sense. None of it makes any sense. There's just no reason to say unconscious from drinking too much over and over and over again. Is she waking up? Is she waking up? Like, that's not a question that you would have if you were looking at the kind of scene that we were told that place was. None of it makes any sense. None of it makes any sense. I mean, people can use alcohol as an excuse for the situation, but plenty of people that are adults that have been intoxicated then get into high adrenaline situations know that you pretty much instantly sober up. So it wasn't just alcohol. That's for sure. See, this is another thing that Ashley Banfield got wrong. And we've already gone back in and we validated that that's not what was said. So Jeff Kernodle, when he was talking about Xana, a lot of us at first thought that he did say something about changing the locks, but that wasn't the case. What he actually said was that she changed a lot. He was talking about her relationship with Ethan. So listening to the context around that statement is where you get the truth about it not being about a lock, but being about how Xana changed a lot because she was like really happy and in this relationship with Ethan. Like, her dad's talking about her and Ethan's relationship and how much she's like been, I guess, like she's grown up and been happier and looks like she's like flourishing. That's where that came from. So there wasn't a lock. He said she changed a lot. Changed a lot. It's just a super lot. I never heard he touched the lock. I heard it that she changed a lot. because she was the reason why he was going to actually be able to get back into the frat. He was kicked out of the frat for his grades, and one of the frat brothers was actually like the one sort of like blamed for that because it was his responsibility to help Ethan as like the freshman or whatever. He was supposed to help him, and he ended up failing and getting kicked out. And Xana was actually like stepping up and helping him study, and that's why his grades had gotten up. And like that was like the big portion that he was talking about. Yeah, it was that she changed a lot. She was like growing up and helping a lot with Ethan's stuff. Yeah, the pizza at midnight thing is still really confusing because she told her dad that she was at home. I couldn't find an interview anywhere where he actually said anything about pizza, but then I went across, I think it was one of Conspiracy's videos where she had put some of the Venmo screenshots together, and there was like pizza Venmos back and forth between Ethan and Xana. I don't remember who to who. I think Ethan to Xana, but there was like money that was transferred for pizza. And then we had Domino's boxes in the back of the house. And then Heather pulled some of the footage from Linda Lane of a car that comes back there and turns around. And if you look at the top of it, it looks like it has like that delivery driver light on it. So it's very possible that she actually did like order Domino's with Ethan at home around midnight, and they were actually eating pizza and home at midnight the way that Jeff said. But there's a lot of time, a lot of hours in between around midnight and the time that all this happened and the DoorDash thing happened. So there's a possibility that maybe they left the house and went back to the party and came back, or maybe went to an apartment next door and came back. Like they had a lot of people that they knew like in that area. And the picture of everybody was taken at the apartment complex next door at one of their mutual friends' little apartments. So even if they were home at midnight and eating pizza, that doesn't mean they stayed home. They could have easily left again and came back again because the cops want us to believe they got home at 1:45. So it's a big possibility that they were there for a little while, maybe cooled off from that argument that they had. Or maybe they went back to eat and then went back, and maybe the argument was after that. I mean, we really don't know the full timeline of that whole situation either. Everything that comes down to that party and the timeline and the argument, like we know that it happened. We know that whatever was being talked about with Jeff on the phone had him upset enough to where he had wanted to get in the car and drive over to Moscow. But because he'd been drinking, Jasmine told him no. We don't know what that is. But I mean, it probably would take a little bit more than something petty to make you want to get in your car and drive to Moscow, in my opinion. So well, and the DoorDash thing, now we have both Xana and Ethan's DoorDash records that were just submitted as self-authenticating records. But there's only talk of like one DoorDash order. So I don't know why both records are being submitted if only one account would have made the order or received the order, or however the frick that is. I don't know why both of them are being submitted whenever it would have only really came from one account. I don't know why they would have made, two accounts. I don't know. It's very odd. It's very odd. I don't know. Time of death is something I was talking to a friend about because it really bothers me that they are acting like they can't get time of death, but there's a million different factors in play when it comes to that situation. And they can't sit there and give us a timeline for the crime, but then say they can't give us a time of death. They can't sit there and give us an order of death with the way that they have come out and given us the names, because the way that law enforcement comes out and lays out the names of victims is usually in chronological order of who died first to who died last. That's normally how that works. So they can come out here and give us that and list us the same order every time when it comes to the victims. But they're putting the time of death at around noon whenever the 911 call was made and the first responders got there, because they're claiming that with the circumstances and the delay, they can't figure that out. Yes, you can. It's just more advanced freaking scientific math than you want to deal with. But yes, the frick you can. I want to know if it says anything on the death certificates, because I know that the families got death certificates, but does it have an actual time, or does it actually say noon? And if they have a timeline and they have talking and text messages and recordings and blah, 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 you still can't give us a time of death, even though y'all switched the freaking timeline and shifted everything an hour and everything else, and y'all still can't give us a time of death. I don't understand. Lots of ways they could just check. And the thing that they're trying to say is like the liver temperature wouldn't have been accurate. So what I'm trying to figure out, I don't know what's true here, because I've heard this in the beginning, but I don't know if it's accurate because it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I need to know what the heater was set on and if the front and back doors were actually wide open or not. Because if the doors were actually both wide open all freaking night, that doesn't make sense at all. Because there's just no way that people wouldn't have like walked by and been like, oh shit, that's real freaking crazy that their doors are just wide ass open. So I guess if the camera in the front, I wonder if it's going to show that. I guess, I don't know. Anyway, and if the heater was on and what it was set on. Because if the heater was completely off and the doors were wide open, you mean to tell me that those girls stayed in that basement, like freezing their asses off all night without like getting up and turning on the heater or noticing anything like that, or noticing that those doors were wide ass open? Because how do you sit in a house for 8 hours with 4 people's bodies doing what dead bodies do? None of it makes sense. Like, I'm just so tired of thinking about it because none of it adds up. I'm just waiting for puzzle pieces. You smell the blood, you would smell the gases, you would smell the stomach bile that probably would have came out through either maybe the mouth, depending on the way that the body was laying. You would have urine release because your muscles stop working. You would have feces release because your muscles stop working. There's lots of different things that happen to a body. And then you have to sit there and think times 4. And if the heater's on and the ventilation system's going, that means that it's circulating. So I know damn well that there's ways that they can figure things out. They just need to take the temperature that everything was set on and the temperature outside. There's different scientific freaking equations they can use to figure this out. See, I really thought that right here. I've been thinking that there was a second autopsy done for Ethan for a long time because the one in the PCA is dated December 17th. And it was like not even 2 weeks after the murders that we were being told something in a press conference about how the autopsies were going to be done by the end of that week. So for us to have one dated December 17th, I really did kind of wonder, like the only reason why it might not be a second one is because it is from the same, well, I can't really say the same, but it is from a medical examiner in Spokane, and that's who sort of like how they contracted for every freaking thing else, for every little freaking thing else in this case, they contracted it out and had somebody else do it. It's the same situation there. It's a contracted out basis, and they really have no control of it. It's all pretty stupid. So I don't actually know if there was a second one done or if they just took a really freaking long time to actually do the report and it didn't stop until December 17th, or something else was found out and they had to go back in and maybe redo something. And so it's just dated on the last one. I don't know. But it is interesting that they're all cremated. All of them. Like, and I know people were like, oh, it's cheaper. I'm sorry, but in this kind of situation, money was not the freaking problem. Literally at all. Like, even if there were families that couldn't afford a regular ass funeral, it would have been paid for like that. Either by us out here in the real world doing GoFundMes and donating for it, or some organization or some business or somebody would have stepped up and they would have been able to do the full-on funerals. But they're all cremated. They're all cremated. You know what happens if you're cremated? It makes it extremely difficult to go back in and do any further testing. Because if they were buried, they could be exhumed and further testing done for certain things. But once you're cremated, the kind of testing that has to be done to test ashes for anything is so freaking expensive. It's almost not even worth it, especially if you're not 100% sure. I know that from experience, from a situation that I've sort of like consulted in. So And on top of that, you have to like question if the ashes that you have are even really the ashes of your loved one, because how many stories just in the past couple of years have we heard of these funeral homes apparently like cremating people, but not actually cremating people, keeping the bodies for other purposes, lying on death certificates, and instead giving them like concrete dust in their freaking urns. You can't trust any freaking thing. Can't trust anything. Exactly. That's another thing. It all happened before we had an arrest. Yeah, the house was cremated too. True story. I didn't mean to laugh, but you know. Where'd it go? I just seen it. That one. There you go. Yep. True story. The house too. Well, hey there. Not saying it's a big conspiracy. At the same time, the 911 call doesn't fit the crime. I know. Guys, this is analysis of a crime with CD. This is the one who had some information about Dylan possibly thinking that she was seeing things and hallucinating possibly, and wasn't really sure what she saw. He had that information like way before we had any information, and we did a video about it. This is who this is. And yeah, it doesn't fit the crime scene. And that's the problem that I'm having, is that no one is mentioning seeing blood, and they're still acting as if people just aren't waking up. Like, it's not a normal response. It's not a normal response. I agree with that. Can you speak on the family saying not calling 911 sooner would have changed anything? Because I disagree with that. You might disagree with it because we don't really know the truth about that situation. But if anything that the Goncalves has said was true about Ethan actually being like behind Xana's door, sort of wedged behind her door, making it difficult to get the door open, which that's what it sounds like, because like we've all mentioned, they're not describing a bloody crime scene. What they're describing almost sounds as if they're just assuming that Xana is unconscious because she's not opening the door. That's what it sounds like. It doesn't sound like they've actually put eyes on the situation at all. Or at least that's what they're alluding to. So that's why I say, if Ethan really was like wedged up somehow to where the door couldn't open because of the way that his body was laying, then I full-heartedly believe that he tried to get to the door because he was still alive after the door was shut behind him, and the person who did this or people that did this left the room and shut the door, and he tried to get to the door and then failed to do so and died behind the door, and he just happened to lay and, you know, no longer be alive in a position to where the door couldn't get open. I do believe that it's very possible, especially since Dylan is saying that she could hear crying and stuff and she wasn't really sure. I very much believe there is a possibility that lives could have been saved. We don't know. Because the Mabbit lied in the very beginning. One person technically was sort of like killed in their bed, because if there's any truth at all to what we've heard, Kaylee could have been running around the house. We don't really know. Xana might have been running around the house for Dylan to think that she saw somebody in black. We don't even freaking know. Because I've even argued about what Ann Taylor said. Just because Kaylee was found in a bed doesn't mean that she was killed in that bed or was there from the whole, you know, like the whole time. Like, it's really possible that she was downstairs at some point, the way that it's being described. Very possible that she was down there, went up the stairs, saw somebody upstairs, freaked out, turned around, ran back down, and then after being attacked and fighting and all the things, that's where she was put. Because she's described as sort of being like slumped over, sort of like a Raggedy Ann doll, like a doll, sort of just like slumped over in the corner, sitting up. To me, it's almost as if she was put there after she was no longer alive. Like whoever did all this put her there. So Xana was on the floor across, like you're looking in the door with the door open and Xana's on the floor. According to what we've heard, Ethan is on the floor behind the door. So technically only Maddie would have really been like attacked in the bed, from how it sounds. Like even something so simple as that, like it just doesn't. She should have just kept her mouth shut, is what Nabbit should have done, because she really came out and gave a false perception. She really made it seem as if somebody went in and put their hands over people's mouths as hard as they could and just one to the chest as hard as possible and just took them out. That's how they made it sound. But there was no fighting, there was no screaming, there was no nothing. It was just a huge, crazy sneak attack where somebody's mouth and nose was covered and they just bam. That's what they made it sound like. And that's not the case. There was fighting. There was people trying to get out. There was screaming. There was stomping around. There was people fighting for their lives. This was not a quiet event. Why do they feel the need to lie to us from the very beginning? I just don't understand it. It's so stupid. That's because they were getting their information from the state until they weren't anymore because they wouldn't shut up and they kept coming out here and talking about everything, and then they stopped getting talked to. So I don't know. I just think it's insane. All of the misconceptions. And see, this is a possibility too. Or he was getting it from somebody that got it from that area. Because if they can't put him in the vicinity, then I can't say that he was going there and getting it. But he could have been getting it from somebody who went over there to get it. That would also explain transfer. Because I've heard this before. CD says, Jeremy said that block. And Jeremy is the neighbor. The neighbor that everyone came out and like gave a lot of shit to. He did an interview with CD. Jeremy said the block was always pumping with kids. Another told me about the rug dealing going on there. Bryan, my opinion, was getting substances from around there. Just my opinion. And yeah, again, it's possible. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say there's no way that he doesn't have some sort of residual issue, because we know, at least the rumor was, he had some sort of issue whenever he was a child, not well a child, but a teenager, with something that you don't just normally jump right into. Like, to go straight to H, that's a big jump. Like, that's some wild work to just straight jump into H. So, I mean, it is possible that maybe he was, getting back into something, and whoever he was getting it from was getting it from over there. That's a huge possibility. I mean, it would make more sense for there to be like a knife sheath that had transfer DNA from Bryan Kohberger, because right before the killing, he went and got some illegal substances from one of the guys like involved, and his DNA was transferred to this guy's hands and the knife during the rug deal. That's a very big possibility. He still wouldn't have even have had to have been in the vicinity for that situation. It would have been one of the dealers in that area. And see, the family can't even be pissed off about that, because who's the very first person that came out and told us about that house and its reputation? Who's the very first person? Olivia, big and pregnant, and her camel freaking colored turtleneck, coming out here and talking about how it's known as a party house and telling us all this stuff. They put it all out there, not us. They put it all out there, not us. It's just too much. It's just so much. No, camel colored turtleneck. I just don't understand how we got here. And it's really funny because some idiot was like, as many times you keep saying that you don't understand, maybe it just means that you shouldn't talk about this case. And I'm like, are you too stupid to realize that what I mean is that I don't understand why we live in such a stupid world that doesn't make any sense? And that I'm completely exasperated and I just keep saying, I don't understand. It's because my brain does not comprehend the stupidity and the corruption and the disgusting lies happening, because I could not fathom this being real. Doesn't mean that I'm a dumbass. It means that I'm disgusted with the world and I'm not understanding how we got to this freaking point. That's what it freaking means. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I'm going to make a shirt. It might already be out there. I feel like this is something that's already been done, because it's a play on Trump stuff. And I just I'm going to make a shirt for the channel that says "Make Common Sense Great Again." because that's the only thing I could keep thinking of in this whole thing. Because I'm like, people that are arguing about the DNA, I'm like, did you read the document? Like, common sense would say that if you have this important document that mentions multiple DNAs found under one of the victim's fingernails or like in their fingernail clippings, you think that like a common sense person with a working brain is going to read the entire document and not just stop at like the paragraph that's convenient and not get the rest of the information. And it's just like a constant argument. And I'm like, everyone's teachers has failed them so miserably. It's just so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. Okay, I'm going to go. I'm going to take the transcript and try to see if there's like, I'm going to try to put some stuff in there. I just don't understand why there's so much missing. And there's definitely omitted stuff. So there's something going on where Hunter is saying something to the dispatch, and whatever the description is that he's giving is muted. They took it out. They took it out. So I'm wondering if it's him giving the description of what he saw right before he's yelling like, get out, get out. But again, that portion is still confusing because you hear Xana's name being mentioned. You think that you hear Dylan say something about Kaylee, but it still goes back to Xana's door not being able to be open, and he popped it open, saw inside, and then said, get out. Like, that's the portion right there. So I'm wondering if that's what it was, is he's like describing the bloody scene to dispatch and they blacked it out. It's just wild. This whole thing is just wild. And I just want one thing to puzzle piece. Like, I just want one thing to add up. And again, some transfer DNA doesn't mean shit to me. Okay. I went to Walmart today, came home with 25 people's DNA on me. It just is what it is. I got to take a shower before I go to bed. Okay. Because that just is what it is. Y'all all have DNA on you right now of people that you don't even know exist, okay? There's things that you use on a daily basis that probably has like thousands of people's DNA on it, just collecting it up like a petri dish. We're gross. That's just what it is. But they've got to do better than what they're doing. Because if all this was really for nothing, it's going to be really sad. And I think that if this does end up going the way that it looks like it should go, because nothing is freaking pointing to the man in the cuffs, literally nothing, then I don't think that they're going to try to actually solve anything. I think they're going to be too embarrassed if it happens. There's so much corruption already. I just don't see it going the way that it should. I really do think that Bryan is going to end up being convicted first time around. I feel like he's going to get out on appeal, but just the way that the court is, no alternative perpetrators, you're not allowed to talk about the IGG, like this is being set up verbatim Delphi. So all I can do at this point, because I have no faith in the system, even though this is not how I believe the case should go, I really believe that he's going to end up being found guilty based on some bullshit, just like in Delphi. I really believe that because they're following their handbook, bro. It really feels like they're following Delphi's handbook like to a T. It's really gross. Makes me sick too. I have zero faith in the whole freaking system. Yep, they saw what happened with Delphi. They got away with it. And like Judge Gull is still denying stuff. Like stuff is getting submitted. More stuff is being put up by the defense team. More motions are being filed. And Judge Gull is just signing off on all of it without a hearing, without giving a shit that there's receipts and reasons to argue anything. She's just instantly signing off, just like, eh. What? It's just too much. It's just too much. Okay, I'm gonna get off and go make some chamomile tea, I think. Yeah, you know, I have some more footage and stuff from the California files for Kylie. I need to get back to that pretty soon and finish going through those. I need to take a break soon here from this one and get a bunch of the FOIA files I still have. And I still am waiting on stuff from from Truckee itself, because I was told that anything additional when it came to Kylie's case, now that CHP released their files, was going to be coming from Truckee, that Truckee had to complete their stuff. So now I'm just waiting on that. And I haven't gotten anything from that. So There's that problem. Thank you for the $19.99. I'm hoping it makes a little bit more sense, or at least we're trying to figure it out. I don't know. I don't even know if we're going to be told the whole truth come trial. Because they're already like taking out so many important things when it comes to this case that are so important. It just makes no sense. Yeah, we've been lied to. We've been completely lied to. Okay, I'm going to go drink some chamomile tea and try to relax. I'll be back live tomorrow, probably at some point, maybe. Maybe we'll wait till Sunday. We'll see. But I'll definitely have a video of some sort out tomorrow. We still got to finish going through the documents, too. And maybe we'll get something from the court addressing this issue. Not just something from Whitcomb saying, well, we decided to do whatever we wanted to do, so here it is. I'd like to have something actually from the court, you know, besides like the 2 emails I got from Ada County telling me that it's still under seal. And then it, you know, popping up on a news station a couple hours later. So that was a wild ride. But thank you so much for the super chats and the super stickers and the gifted memberships and the people that joined themselves. I very, very, very much appreciate it. Oh, I missed one. Oh, well, thank you for the $1.99. I very much appreciate it. Thank you so much. I've just tried to do it as much facts as possible. Like, I might have opinions that people don't like, but at least my opinions are based on the facts. That's the problem I have with a lot of the people that are out here like saying a bunch of crazy stuff, is because they're going around and lying about facts. Like, you can't have an opinion that I can respect if it's based off of false information. I can respect your opinion all day long, even if it's different than mine, as long as it's based off of the actual facts and not just things that aren't true, that can be proven not to be true. I mean, there's people here in this chat all the time that have a difference of opinion than I do. We get along just fine. I mean, we might argue about the opinion, but then we're back to talking just fine. I mean, you just have to go based off the facts. It can't be that too hard, you know? The documents are right there. The court hearings are right there for everyone to read. It can't be too hard. Come on, guys. All right, y'all have a safe Friday night. Well, it's almost Saturday morning. Y'all get some rest. We'll get right back at it tomorrow, going over some more stuff. But that's probably it. I'm going to go ahead and play this now. Please do not forget to leave a like on your way out and subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed already. Okay, that's it, you guys. See y'all.